Buenas tardes from beautiful Managua, Nicaragua. I promised you this morning that I was going to go get some scenery shots done. I am up here on Loma de Tiscapa, which is a high observation point with some national monuments on it. I'm going to apologize for nature. This is some extreme wind up here. Might be a little difficult to hear me, but it's not so much about what I've got to say, but it is what you have to see. And I am so happy I finally got up here. I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see all this in its splendor. So if you look off, you'll be able to see that or not, but on the mountain we have the FSLN, which is the now national organization, no longer political organization. Some of the mountains in the background, I see a volcano, and here we have the beautiful lake, one of the few multi-story buildings as tall as it is. Here is the Nicaraguan flag in its glory, but looking over this, I'm going to do a quick shot across before we do the walkabout. Absolutely gorgeous background to the lake here. You can see some white caps on it. And the facility I'm at, we're at the top of the hill. There's a small little cafe, banos, and some empty building no longer being used, but nice parking area here. So there's one of our famous metal Nicaraguan trees. There are both flags for the nation and the organization, and what you can't make out right now, well, what you get to is a giant metal structure of Augusto Sandino. Yep, some good wind. More parts from downtown. Absolutely gorgeous. Watch my step here. So from the short this morning, I went and got my little Sharps container. I found a store that carried it. It was very inexpensive. Highly recommend the shop for any durable medical needs you have while you're visiting the country. Gorgeous day. Yeah, if I could have stapled my hat onto my forehead in this wind, I would have done it. And there is Augusto Sandino. I mentioned in a prior video, there is a not perfect but good film about Sandino's life. It's on YouTube. The reproduction of it isn't well. The acting isn't bad, but it is from watching it and what I know of history, it's fairly accurate to him. And if you'd like to learn more about the history of Nicaragua, I would say you need to start with Sandino. He was the first one to truly repel foreign interests in the country and was used as a model template years later in overthrowing other organizations that were toppling the local community. Absolutely gorgeous. So the Plaza de Revolucion that I had visited before would be where you see all those colored trees. I didn't make it all the way down to the pier, but that's where I was at. So I've walked up the Avenue de Bolivar, named after Simon Bolivar, which is coming right up through the tree line here. Just a few national flags there. Somebody's got a beautiful overview. Imagine getting up in the morning and having coffee up there, as long as you didn't try to hold on to a napkin. This wind is pretty consistent coming off the lake, and especially at this higher elevation. I'm gonna flip it back towards where we have been. Absolutely wonderful. Even a little area for the kids to stay busy. Markers up on here that I can do a bad translation on, or at least make it sound good. So how did I get up this hill? Well, our chat group has a whole bunch of expats or soon to be expats in the community. One of them reached out to me who's been living here for quite some time. Kudos to Mark McKnight. Had a great day having coffee, talking about things. He actually dropped me off here, so a nice warm welcome to what's always been a warm welcome in this country. I've said it before, I say it almost all the time. Warmest, most sincere, grateful people I've met in my life are Nikas. And we have some art that I didn't catch the first time around. No placards, so you're not going to hear my bad translation. Flowers laid at the memorial. It's all said and done until somebody brings out the mini tank. So at one point in time, functional. That's kind of claustrophobic looking. Sandino y el Parque Jericho Loco. Yeah. I am not going to shred those words. Jose Leonel Cerrato Giron is the artista. Beautiful work. Absolutely beautiful. And I'm glad I finally made it up here. Let's get the other side of the hill that we weren't getting from the first side. So if you can get the gist of it, Managua is a little lower because it's close to the lake, with mountains batting up on pretty much 3 of its sides. And here's the local lago. It's all but roped off. Kind of a big bird. So I've mentioned before, you don't see a lot of high rises here after the devastating earthquake over 50 years ago. Building construction is lower to the ground with better support, better materials to avoid earthquakes. I had one tiny one here. Literally, it could have been a dump truck driving down the road next to us for the extent of it. But I've got the earthquake app on my phone. I get announcements of earthquakes all through the region, and only one was noticed for a few seconds, so knock on wood, that's great. In my future home of Matagalpa up in the mountains, they don't have the earthquake, so that's even better. I'm also going to be in the middle of the country. I don't have to worry about a tsunami alert. Future natural disasters compared to Florida, I'll be looking at potential mudslides with the rainy season. When hurricanes do hit this country, it can be devastating to the agricultural and to poor people. but we're looking at extensive rain, and if I'm in the mountains, water goes south, or at least down. So mitigating some of the natural disaster risks in the future. Actually, there's multiple areas for the kids to play. A lot of parks in this country, because everything is kind of family centric, so there's lots of things for the family to do outside. This does close a little later at night because a lot of people are working throughout the day and they don't go out until after dark. So it only makes sense you'd have a playground area where people can cool off in the nighttime where it's very well lit. But yeah, I've been wanting to see this and I wanted to share it. We're gonna head on down the steps here. But what a gorgeous view. If you hear anything cracking, that would be my knees. Yeah, Mark dropped me off. He asked me if I needed a ride back. I said no, going downhill is going to be easy, and I'm within a mile-ish of the hotel right now, so that's fine. Oh, that's a large vulture, or as we know, the state bird of Florida. If you're not a fan of vultures, they keep our roads clean. There was a half step above that step. I missed it. And concession row. Outstanding. All right, on that, I am going to cut this short. Wanted to share some of the local beauty on a gorgeous day. See much of the outskirts. We're actually pretty central north of the city. So if you were to look at a map and you see all the density on Google and such, you'll see this little round lake in the north central part on the map, and that's where I'm standing right now. It's a pretty easy landmark to find. When I leave out of here, I will be going west by southwest for about a mile over to the hotel, which will be on the other side of that hill. And until I see you all again soon, adios.